This is the High School Football America podcast for December the 4th, 2019. I'm Jeff Fisher. Heading to the state of Arizona where something big started earlier in the year when we heard that for the first time ever they would have an open division championship, putting the top teams in the state in one division, which brings us to a huge matchup in the open division championship. Two of the most known programs in the state of Arizona for a long time will do battle in the open division championship as Chandler, three-time champs in 6A, take on the six-time champs Saguaro from 4A, and Coach Jason Mohns, a good friend of ours, is on the line to talk about a very special matchup coming up. I'm sure you're busy, Coach, but we appreciate you taking the time.
No problem, Jeff. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, let's just dive into it for the listeners around the nation. How big a deal was it when you heard that there would be an open division championship this year, which would allow all of the best to go head to head?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely I think sent shockwaves through the state a little bit. We kind of feel like we are one of the main reasons why they felt they needed to do it. Obviously, with the run that we've been on at the 4A level, and every year at the end of the year, there's always talk about who's the best team, and I think now people will finally get a chance to see and have had a chance to see the top teams across the big three big school divisions in Arizona get a chance to line up. And I think the matchup that people have wanted to see for a long time, Chandler versus Saguaro, came to fruition. And on Saturday, we're going to line it up and get after each other and see who the top dogs are.
Two highly ranked teams, no matter what the national polls are saying out there. Both Chandler and Saguaro are there at the top as they go into the Open Division Championship. Let's talk a little bit about the season. 6 in a row. That means the bullseye gets bigger each and every year. And you guys have had some things to overcome this year. You've got a ton of talent there, Division I wise kids that are going to play on Saturdays. But I know you had some situation there with your quarterback going down with an injury. Talk a little bit about the season and how the kids have responded to get you to this point where you're playing for a championship again.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we had really high expectations going into the year, ranked pretty highly nationally and probably deservedly so with the caliber of talent we have. Took on a real difficult matchup early in the year, week 2 against Cathedral Catholic out at their place, and lost our tailback, actually, our returning starting tailback Division I kid, and he went down in the second quarter, and that really hurt us. We struggled in that game, didn't play very well. And, obviously credit to Cathedral. They played a kind of old school wing tee and grounded out and kept the ball away from us and turned it into kind of a slugfest. And were able to get a goal line stand against us at the end to preserve the win. And then ended up going and beating Corona Centennial the very next week. So, obviously they were a formidable opponent. But yeah, we kind of had to regroup a little bit, make some adjustments, as far as moving some guys around. We took our kid Keely Ringo, who's one of the top-rated corners in the country, and moved him back into the backfield, as well as one of our linebackers, Will Schaefer, that's committed to Arizona State, and kind of went to a running back by committee a little bit to make up for the loss of Israel. But then really since that point, we've got it back on track. That was our only loss of the year, and I felt like our kids have been picking up steam, picking up momentum. We've had to overcome some injuries throughout the course of the year, but we feel like we've got the players on the roster that can pick up the slack, and had a big time win 2 weeks ago in the semifinals against a really good Hamilton program that was playing really good football, and our kids made some big plays down the stretch to win that game, and so we feel like we're in a good position, but we definitely have a tall order in front of us. With a very, very talented and very well-coached Chandler team.
Saguaro football on the podcast today. Jason Mohns talking about the big matchup coming up. Nationally ranked teams taking on Chandler for the Open Division Championship in Arizona. And one of the things that I'd like you to kind of talk a little bit about for the listeners you haven't been on the show in several years, and I just wanted to kind of have you define what it is to be a Saguaro football player, because you have built a culture there, and we know that word's kind of tossed around a lot in football these days. But explain to the listeners a little bit about what Jason Mohns thinks about when it comes to building a high-quality high school football program that believes not only in what's going on in the field, but off the field as well.
Yeah, I get asked a lot about kind of my philosophy, and really for me, it's easy. It's just built around relationships, and really creating an atmosphere that's welcoming to kids, that we hold them accountable and we work them hard, but we love them up and we make them feel appreciated. And we try to create a lot of different opportunities for them to bond with each other and have some really unique experiences through being a part of our program. And so that's really what it comes down to. We really kind of hang our hat on being able to build and develop strong relationships, amongst the coaching staff and the players and the community and the school and everybody that's involved. We use the word family a lot, and I know that word gets thrown around a ton, but I think if you spend any time around Saguaro football, you really do feel like it's a family. People care about each other, that we're all committed to one common goal. And no matter how many kids we have with big time Division I offers and bright futures and all that stuff, at the end of the day, I think we've created a culture where kids care about the program. They want to be successful. And we spend a lot of time teaching them how to compete and the importance of competing all the time. But at the end of the day, we want them to leave here and feel like they were a part of something special that was bigger than themselves, and that they felt like they were able to be a part of the tradition and maybe hopefully leave their legacy on that tradition that we have here.
And you mentioned Keely Ringo, one of the top players in the country, still uncommitted. He's gotten a lot of publicity, and I know all the stories written about you guys have his name in there. But let's talk about some of the other kids that have impressed you this year, not only from on the field, but that leadership thing, which I know is so important to that culture continuing year after year. So who are some of the kids that you're real proud of this year?
Yeah, I think, the kid I have coined as the heart and soul of our program is our senior captain, Will Schaefer. He's a linebacker that's committed to play at Arizona State. And last year was a two-way guy, was one of our top receivers as a tight end. This year we played him a lot in the backfield. We move him all around. He's a Division I linebacker, but he rarely leaves the field, and he just gives us everything he's got. He genuinely cares about our program and his teammates and his coaches, and he's just a great player to coach. It's really been fun to have him for 4 years, and the guys around him, the guys on his left and the guys on his right, they give him everything they've got because they know he's doing the same for them. And so just been really proud of him and what he's done for this team, both on and off the field this year. There's a lot of guys. I think on defense, we've got a kid. He's a junior named Quentin Somerville, and he's a highly rated guy and has a bunch of big time offers. But you would never know it because he's the most humble, hardworking kid, and he just has a great attitude. He's got a tremendous motor on the field. He's a coach pleaser. He's another program guy, just a guy that cares about Saguaro football, and I think he elevates the people around him. Not only on the football field, but in the classroom and in the community. He's just a really good kid. We could go down. There's a plethora of kids that we have, and you don't win at a high level for a consistent period of time unless you have a bunch of kids. It takes more than just one or two, but those are two guys that jump out that have really good years and I think have done all the things that we want our leaders to do both on and off the field.
Saguaro versus Chandler coming up, state championship, open division in Arizona. And, Coach, 2 weeks in between. You talked about the big win over Hamilton a couple of weeks ago. You liking the 2 weeks off, or would you rather dove right into it instead of taking 14 days to figure out what you're going to do against this big-time opponent that you have?
Yeah, it's kind of the double-edged sword. For us, we probably needed it. We're a 4A school. We've got 1,200 kids, and even though there is open enrollment in Arizona, and we do attract some high-level athletes, we do have smaller roster size, and so we have quite a few guys that do contribute on both sides of the ball and play special teams, and Hamilton. Credit to them. I thought they were a buzzsaw and arguably one of the best teams, if not playing the best football in the state of Arizona going into that semifinal game. And that game was a bloodbath. It was physical. It came down to the very last play. And so, yeah, we probably benefited from having the extra week just to physically recover. But then you also gave Chandler 2 weeks to prepare for you. So, you don't really ever want to give a team that's as talented and well-coached as Chandler extra time. But we probably needed it physically to make sure that we were fresh and ready to roll.
Jason Mohns on the line. We'll wrap up with the question of what are the boxes that you need to check? What are you and your staff doing with those 2 weeks to get the kids ready for this? What do you have to do to walk off that field with a W?
Yeah, I mean, I think you just got to do the stuff that you do that got you to this point. Playing physical, disciplined football, being able to run the ball and control the line of scrimmage. We've been really good against the run all year long, and Chandler's is, their offense, they're very balanced, but it starts with the run. And if you can, slow down their run game, I don't want to say stop it, because that's next to impossible to do. But if you can slow it down and take away the big explosive plays in the run game, I think you give yourself a chance. And we just have to come out, and we say it all the time. I tell my kids, before every big game, I ask them, hey, what do we need to do different to win this game? And the answer is nothing. We got to do the things that we know how to do, the things that have made us successful for a very long time. Play Saguaro football. We have to do the little things, the intangibles, the things that we can control. Effort and intensity and execution and discipline and those things. I think to beat good teams in big games, those are the things that are the most important.
Yeah, and then I said that was the last question on the game, but I want you to put on your kind of Chamber of Commerce hat here for the state of Arizona. We talked about this last time, years ago you were on, but when you have the eyes of a nation looking at what's going on there with this huge matchup, that says a lot about the state of Arizona high school football right now. Be that Chamber of Commerce guy and talk about how good Arizona football is right now.
Yeah, I mean, Arizona football, I think, is still really underrated. But if you come out here during spring recruiting and, maybe just hang out on our campus for a week and see every major program from every Power 5 school, every conference in the country, including a bunch of head coaches, you'll realize really quickly that there's some damn good football being played out here, and there's some really special players out here. I think the coaching out here is phenomenal. It's a year round. I mean, the climate out here, these kids are training and running and lifting, and, quarterbacks are working with quarterback coaches, and there's skill. I mean, it's just the level of play out here has really improved over the last 10 years. So, and I think this is, obviously there's different ranking systems, but USA Today has both us and Chandler in the top 25. I think it's the first time ever in state history that two top 25 teams have met for the state championship. It's just a special time for football in Arizona. It's only getting better. It makes my job more difficult. It was nice when there was only 3 or 4 really good programs, and now there's 20, and the bar just keeps getting raised every year, and it's a credit to the coaching and the programs and administrations that are really supporting football, and the families that are bought in, and the kids that are working hard. I think football's thriving in the state of Arizona. I know that's not the case everywhere, but it's definitely thriving out here.
Coming into Saturday's championship game, Chandler, number 35 in the High School Football America 100 that's created with a proprietary algorithm. Saguaro, number 42. It is going to be a dandy. You can keep up with the game and see a complete recap at highschoolfootballamerica.com, along with all the other state championship games this weekend. I'm Jeff Fisher, and you've been listening to the High School Football America podcast.